Yeah, I think it's just one of those where our society hasn't seen where the power demands are going to be coming from. So it's just kind of, it's coming. It's going to be interesting over the next few years.
Welcome to We Built This Brand, the podcast where we talk to the creators and collaborators behind brands and provide you with practical insights that you can use in growing your own business. Today, we're talking with Brian Strong, CEO at TenHats. TenHats is an enterprise-grade IT services company based in Knoxville, Tennessee. Brian has been with the company since 2020, starting as the Chief of Sales and Marketing and taking on the mantle of CEO starting in 2022. Now, back in the day, I worked in telecom, and I got to work with TenHats as one of my customers under their former business name. In this conversation, we got to talk about what led to the rebranding of the business and how Brian and TenHats serve their customers today. There were some great insights in this conversation, and I'm really excited to share this with you. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with Brian Strong at TenHats. Alrighty, well, Brian, welcome to We Built This Brand.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us today, and it's great to be here at the TenHats headquarters.
Well, I mean, we're glad that you guys came over and, we could show you around.
Yeah. Excited to get more of a tour of the place after we're done with this.
That'd be good.
I'm a bit of a data center nerd.
Oh, are you really? Yeah.
So,
yeah. With the AT&T background?
Yeah.
That's right. We'll be glad to show you that.
Yeah. Love seeing how they build these things and like the redundancy you all build into these and all that stuff is just really cool to me. So
yeah, it's been really neat from owning the data center from the standpoint of just the infrastructure side of it, all the power coming in, the redundancy, like you said, generators. I mean, stuff that I never thought I'd know about. And I know more than I ever cared to.
Yeah, good learning experience.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yes, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Well, today we're here to talk about TenHats, the brand that it is, and I think a little bit about the brand, where it came from, and how it became TenHats.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
So, want to dive into that, and just, I guess, first of all, tell me about yourself. So, where did you get your start, and what led you here to TenHats?
I went to high school here, moved into Knoxville 4 days before I started Farragut High School, went to UT, got into sales, and then I guess about 5 or 6 years into my sales career, I get recruited to work for a company here locally called RM Technologies. So that was my first venue into the technology world. And so that company became Claris Networks. Mm-hmm. And so I worked there for like 6.5 years doing basically what TenHats does. This is evolution of that. I left Claris right around 2012 and started a software as a service company called Vendor Registry.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so Vendor Registry was a bidding platform. Public procurement ran their purchasing departments. And it was kind of really neat. It was like a centralized database for vendors to register with multiple different governments all at one time, solving a problem for the governments of not having enough bidders to their solicitations, and for vendors having one platform to actually keep all their data up to date with a multitude of governments.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that company sold in 2020. There's several of the folks that I used to work with at Claris that are here at TenHats. It was SH Data at the time. And they started recruiting me back, and I actually told them no the first time, or first several times. It was just, Claris was like, I felt like it was lightning in a bottle. It was kind of hard to recapture. But just over some multiple conversations, it just seemed like the right fit. There was an aptitude of a bunch of the former employees to get back together and try to build something special again. And so that's how I kind of ended up at SH Data Tech. So I've been here for, I guess, 3.5 years now.
Okay. That's really neat. So you came in when it was still SH Data.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then about a year into when I was here, the former CEO, he decided to retire, and then later that year, we decided that, hey, there was quite a few things changing at the company, so it was time to rebrand, rename, kind of relaunch, and that happened in January of 2022.
That's really cool. So January 22, you rebrand as TenHats. What led to the name TenHats?
So that's a fun story as well. As when we were going through the name change, we try to do a little bit internally. Funny names are easy to come up with. Really serious names are much more difficult. I like symbolism. I think that, if there's some depth to a name that you can use, there's some meaning behind it. Finding domain names is very difficult these days. So we hired a firm that's out of Nashville that kind of helped us with this, kind of like the vision of what we were looking for. TenHats came up. One of the things that I really liked about TenHats, it was we can use it in multiple different facets. So as an IT firm, we work with small businesses that IT usually reports to the CFO or a controller internally. So they wear multiple hats inside of that. So can we take the IT hat? And then also we have a portion of our business that we work with larger companies that have IT staff. So they may be proficient at 3 or 4 hats, and then they can outsource to us those 5 or 6 that they're not good at, or 2 or 3. So we can kind of morph into whatever relationship that can be. Also, the number 10 is ones and zeros, which is data. 10 is also Tennessee. So you can see like
lots of things,
lots of things.
there.
Yeah, lots of symbolism that we can use for multiple different things, which I really, I really thought that was just a home run when they did that. So we launched with that January 2022, and it's been a good ride. I will say, there was few people thought it was TIN, so they thought,
like tinfoil hats.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Which also could work in IT, but at the same time, that's not us.
I wouldn't be surprised if there, knowing Knoxville, is some conspiracy theory about this building and what it is too, for people who don't know.
Oh, that's true.
So there probably is that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it could be that. Yeah, especially with the gray and black. The Fort Hill building's been here since like 71.
Oh yeah.
I always say, back in the day when it was being purchased and all that stuff. I mean, it was so plain. It's a 5-story building that you could drive by and not even see it. I mean, it was just, so they've done a really good job with the property and reestablishing it and building a data center next door and stuff like that. So it's been fun.
It's really neat. As we were talking before we were recording, I mean, I've spent some time at AT&T, worked with SNH Data back in the day, when they were planning on this space. And to your point, like, I was like, oh, there's a building there? Oh yeah, there is.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. But I can definitely relate, because I also worked in the ugliest building in town, that AT&T office down, just not too far from you all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, no windows and
no windows, lots of mold, dust. I have so many stories from there, and that one is one people have theories about because they just don't know what's in there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah. I didn't know anybody actually worked in that building.
Oh yeah, they moved our entire sales team there at one point.
Oh wow, yeah. No walls, no ceiling. Yeah, that's a good
great place to bring customers. Let me tell you.
Too funny.
Yeah, you could trick them into not realizing what time of day it was and just talk to them forever. And
that's right.
Finally buy because they just want to leave.
Yeah, they're like, it's like Hotel California, right? Yeah.
It felt like that some days. I'd come in, especially in the winter, come in before dark. I'd be making calls all day and not be able to get out.
Oh, man.
And there's some days where I'd leave and it was just dark the whole time.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah, that was not fun. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about that.
Oh, no, you're good.
Although it is connected to this building, because of the data center and the pipes and everything that
absolutely.
You have connected over here. So
we definitely have some circuits from AT&T and all that stuff. Yeah.
So as we look at TenHats, as you look at the business, tell me more about what you all do, because obviously, like in rebranding, it wasn't just because did you not want data in the name anymore? Like, tell me about that journey for like repositioning the brand to TenHats.
Yeah, like we were kind of talking before, like data is not a word that it's kind of really ambiguous, and people use it in technology too. The word tech. I mean, there's so many companies going up and down the street that have technology in their name, and it really has no meaning because it's so overused. So we just kind of wanted to give ourselves like a different name that was, frankly, TenHats is unique, right? So it's memorable. And one of the things too, we were trying to relaunch from a marketing and branding standpoint, and to recapture is to reestablish ourselves as we're an MSP, we're a managed service provider. So we do outsourced IT and IT services to the local community. And so we really wanted to have a personal feel to the local community because with running an IT firm like this, it's all about relationships and getting to know the customer, getting to know their customer's business, really getting involved with our clients on helping them use technology to compete, thrive, and grow. And so we wanted to put a new brand on that. So, and then we also have the data center too. Well, the data center is really a much different business model. It's a lot more transactional. People know if they're looking for a data center and they know what the requirements are. They are typically in IT that they have strict requirements what they're looking for, and so they're usually coming to us with, hey, can you provide these type of services? Versus on IT services, for the most part, it's kind of, hey, we don't know what to do with all this. Can you run this for us? So it's two different business models, and so we kind of wanted to rebrand from the standpoint of, our local focus of TenHats, the MSP, and then outside the community, TenHats, the data center.
So outside the local community is where you find more of the data center business then?
Traditionally, we do have a lot of customers here locally, but there's a need for data centers and people that need redundant data centers. So they're looking for geographic diversity. And so we can actually supply that to those clients. One thing that's really fortunate about us here in East Tennessee is that, with our climate and natural disaster, we just don't have that many natural disasters and and so we're not in the tornado alley or, flooding, especially, as high up as we are here. Flooding's not typically a problem. If we have snow, it just lasts a couple days, even though this year is kind of
fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's right. And so it's advantageous for people that are storing their data to be in a climate kind of like ours.
Right. And what is your positioning against, like, say, a cloud service provider that might be, multi-location, all that? Like, what benefit do they get coming to you all?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. So we're actually agnostic when it comes to technology. So depending on what kind of workload that the client needs will dictate what kind of footprint that they need, right? So some applications work really well in the cloud. They're cloud native apps that that's where they should reside. And then there are ERPs or core infrastructure, or there's some people believe that Amazon steals ideas, from being on their cloud, or they have some proprietary system that they use that they want to protect themselves. Each kind of person is a little bit different. So we actually do have direct connects to Azure and AWS if for people that have workloads in the cloud or they need on-prem, or we actually have our private cloud ourselves. So, it's really dependent on the workload. So everybody has like kind of this niche. If you look at the industry trends, hybrid is where everything's going, where there's a little bit in the cloud, a little bit on-prem, a little bit maybe in the data center too. AI is another big thing too, is they're not going to the cloud because of the cost. And so, and the power requirements too. So that's an interesting shift in the market. We're actually seeing the shift in the market right now where power is becoming not a commodity, it's a limited resource.
So like power to the actual facility itself then becomes the resource that you have to allocate amongst different servers and things like that?
That's right. So in the data center world, it's not floor space that we sell power. And the more that, if you look at the public, right, EVs are coming online, AI are high consumers of power. They're saying over the next 2 to 3 years that data center power consumption will be 2 to 3 times what it is today. Then the utilities are having a hard time keeping up with creating the power. It's an interesting time. Over the next several years, we're going to see it's going to become more of a topic.
Yeah. Well, I heard they're making good advancements in fusion, so
let's hope. They need to speed it up. Let's put it that
Seriously.
way. Yes.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it's interesting you say power, because you probably know this, but East Tennessee was one of the places that, they came to create the atomic bomb.
That's right.
In part because of the power resources that we had available to us through TVA.
That's correct. I've had some conversations with TVA too, because there are data centers now that want to do 1 gigawatt of power. So in January, when we were in the snowstorm, right, TVA hit on the power grid itself just a little over 34 gigawatts. So if you think about that, that's the whole TVA footprint. And so you're talking about one data center taking 1 gigawatt itself. That's almost a power plant in itself for power. So it's interesting from what the demand is going to be. Hopefully fusion does come along. That would be
Genuinely would be a good advancement.
It would genuinely be a good advancement because the power requirements of our society are just going to be exponential in the next several years.
Yeah, for sure. And it's wild. I mean, as of this recording, ChatGPT has just released their new Omni product. They've made it more available to people, cheaper, freer, more access to that, and more powerful. And yeah, I can just see how that's going to have effects as well. I assume when you say AI in your own data center, you're talking about other organizations that develop their own AI.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll have clusters of servers that are doing all the calculations, and it's high performance computing. So from a standpoint of a typical server, they run 3 or 4 kilowatts, where a AI server will be 11 to 14. So it's interesting. Sorry to digress so much on power.
That's it's fascinating to me. Like I was saying, like I've had the good fortune to go to like AT&T's data center in Atlanta and see some places like that. I was actually on the cloud side. I was at Amazon reInvent this last November. So like, yeah, I'm in that space a little bit myself.
Yes,
so it's really cool to me.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those where our society hasn't seen where the power demands are going to be coming from. So it's just kind of, it's coming. It's going to be interesting over the next few years.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see how it goes. So hopefully it won't hurt us too much.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So as we talk about TenHats, we've created the brand. You've launched this new brand. You were part of that transition, and then TenHats became TenHats. What has been your journey since then? Where do you envision TenHats going in the next year, maybe in the next 10 years?
Okay, yeah, that's great. So in the last couple of years, like since the relaunch or rebrand and just our growth, we've grown over like 500% in the last 3 years. Our plans are to probably double in size in the next 5 years. One of the things that we really want to do is to grow that much is for resiliency. IT firms typically are on the smaller side, 20 employees or less. We're trying we're at 32 right now. What happens is like there's a few good techs on there in different specialties. So TenHats too, it also represents kind of like how our company is set up. We have specialists in multiple different areas, let's say 10 functions of IT. And so when you have specialists in all those different functions, if there's only one of them, they're on call 24/7, 365, right? So to build resiliency, we want to have multiple people in each of those fields so that they can have quality of life. Also, our customers will have the ability to have multiple people in that stuff. So it builds resiliency for our customer base and for our internal employees.
Yeah. So that human operational aspect of making sure that people work together and things flow well.
Correct.
Yeah, I feel that pain.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes.
I feel that.
And, IT is a 24/7 operation. I mean, we have somebody on call all the time, Christmas Day, 4th of July. I mean, you just never know when something's going to happen in IT that you need to fix something. We want to have that resiliency that, our employees they don't have to be on call all the time so they can go on vacation and not get called and get some rest and relaxation. That makes it just a better quality of life and better culture for our staff, which I think that carries straight over into our clients' experience as well.
Well, if they're dealing with happy people that enjoy their jobs.
That's right.
That attitude is going to come across on the phone. It's going to come across when there's a stressful service issue, because we know in IT, like, there's never anything like that. Like, they're always, laid back and chill. Customers are never mad.
That's exactly right. It's when they call, they're not calling to tell us a funny story. They're calling with an issue. So it's the fewer of those we can have, and the better and happier our clients are, which makes internally the staff much happier too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
very symbiotic.
Yeah. It makes a difference in the business for sure.
Yes.
So that's your strategy now. That's your strategy going forward. It sounds like I typically ask, like, what was your moment of validation in the business? Like, you come in as CEO, you start leading this business. Like, At what point were you like, oh, the strategy that I'm building for this business is moving forward, and I know that, this is going to continue into the future, especially as you rebrand. There's always that uncertainty behind how are people going to accept this? Are they going to recognize who we are?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but there has been a few moments of my past experience at Claris. We had a forte of serving larger clients, and there was a perception internally, of can we actually do that? And so we went to some great efforts to start a sales effort towards some of those larger accounts. And when we started winning some of those, and frankly, it was, and Claris got sold to TechLinks. And then sold to another company here in town, C-Spire. One thing about IT, it's similar to other specialties that people have, like accountants or, their attorney or something like that. They want a personal relationship with those folks. They're spending a lot of money. There's a lot of trust that goes into it. And so having a local presence and a local feel, well, I think, some of the clients, the old Claris clients, felt that, with a company that's out of town, that they had lost touch with the community. And so when we started winning some of our old customers back that we, enjoyed working with in the past, it was validation for us that, hey, we had arrived, or we're on the right path. I wouldn't say we're arrived. I don't know if we'll ever arrive, but we're right on the right path to the plan. It was starting to come together. They were seeing the difference. Yeah. It's nice to have those old relationships back. We really cared about those folks back in the day, and we served them for multiple years. And to see being a part of their company, and we get our validation and, I don't know, whatever our win or whatnot is being able to see a company, really compete and thrive and move forward and grow. And we like being a part of that.
That's the cool thing too about IT, is you get to be part of that business growth and development over time, and learning about their story and their business and why they do things. Like, those things come out just by being in that industry. And something I've always really found fascinating about being, especially on the sales side, on the business development side of those organizations myself. So it's fun.
Yeah, they become friends, and it's a kind of a true partner. And they talk to us, lots of them talk to us about daily. So it's fun. I like that. I like being a part of the community too. Vendor registry, we were at the end, I think we had over 600 governments all across the country, and I was on the road all the time. And when I was there and getting back into the community, trying to make a difference here and knowing all the customers. And it's just, I really, really enjoyed vendor registry, but it is nice to be back in the community and be involved with the community and helping the community and, where we live and work and play and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Go into the grocery store and you might see a customer.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fun. We were at Southern Skies, and I saw a couple of customers and friends. I mean, that's what we like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my dad. So
yeah. Yes, for many years.
So like that. I mean, that's one of the cool things about, like, I've observed is like his relationship with folks and things like that, through being community centric, telecom, in tech and stuff. So that's cool. How does TenHats brand itself beyond just the name? Like, what strategies do you have with marketing, advertising, all those fun factors of your business?
Yeah.
Elements of your business.
Yeah, elements. Yeah. One thing that we did this last year is we did a tech survey. And so we had like 1,100 participants in this tech survey. And really what we try to do is bridge the gap between technology leaders, like in their organizations, and the actual executives, leaders of those, the business leaders of those organizations. And we're trying to, sometimes there's a feeling that there's a communication gap between those. Even sometimes the words we use have different meanings depending on, the seat that we're in, the position that we're in. And that was one of the things that we're really trying to continue to grow and do that annually, to figure out to bridge that gap between business and technology. Because if you think about it today, every business is a technology company. If you took away their tech, they can't really operate, or very few businesses could operate without that. I mean, you talk about, the medical and paper charts. Well, there's not a kid that's got out of school in the last 10 years that's ever worked on a paper chart in the medical industry. So, I mean, it really, you run in a technology business. And so we want to make sure that, if if technology is so important to the business, communicating with your IT and IT effectively and bridging that gap and making sure that the technology initiatives align with the business goals. That's a initiative that we have, and we're very heavily involved with the chamber in small business and entrepreneurial board at the chamber. Participate in as many kind of those events and panels as we can. Just trying to get out the word of how we can help.
Sounds like a lot of feet on the street, and the people are really making the difference with your branding.
Absolutely, yes. And we do, a lot of. We have some white papers, and we do blogs, and we try to communicate out. Some of it educational, some of it marketing. We think the more that we can help educate or just get people to think, it could help.
All righty. Well, Brian, typically I always ask this question at the end of an interview, so I'm going to ask you now: what brand do you admire the most?
So, yeah.
At least at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, that's right now. At the moment, Toyota has really come to mind. I just think with Toyota is a brand that always strives for excellence. They're always process improving. That's what they're known is for their process. Sometimes they're a little bit slow, but when they come out with something, it's excellently done. I think with the EV push right now, and that they are taking just a slight different bend on making hybrids versus, I think they do have maybe a full EV, but that's predominantly where their fleet is going, to these more hybrid approach, whether it's battery and a gas. And I think that's one of those where they're just kind of living to their own beat and their own drummer and their own core principles, and they're not letting their quality suffer or anything like that. So I think that's just a brand that where everybody else is going one direction, they're going slightly different. And I always admire when somebody does that.
Yeah. I think Toyota is a really cool brand just historically too.
Oh yeah.
You've got, I think they were the ones who created the Hoshin method. Is that correct? Or they were a big proponent of it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Least.
Yes.
So all of that, as you build as you continue to build resiliency in your organization,
that's right.
Those strategies and thoughts are going to play into how you do continuous improvement.
That's exactly right. I mean, even to their design, right? If you look at an old Toyota vehicle, you're like, that still looks really good.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Top Gear. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Absolutely.
And they had this one episode where they decided to try and kill a Toyota Hilux, which in the States would be like the Tundra, I think is the equivalent. It's whatever the smaller truck.
The Tacoma.
Tacoma, yeah. It's a Tacoma in the States, but in Europe it's the Hilux. And they decided they were going to try and do all these crazy things to it. Their test was, will the engine start after we do this thing to it? They threw it in the ocean, let the tide come in and roll over it, started it, still started. They put it in the middle of a demolition. Demolition happened. They dug it out. Still started.
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
Everywhere they went, it started almost every single time, if not every single time. And in fact, they memorialized it in the show. If you've ever seen that crushed red truck they have in the background, that's what that whole thing is about. And I think it's a testament to Toyota's ingenuity, but also their ability to make a durable vehicle.
Absolutely, yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's exactly why I admire them.
Yeah. Well, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. Before we go, is there anything you want people to know? How can they connect with you or connect with TenHats?
Oh, yeah. I mean, go to our website, tenhats.com. My email address is brian.strong@tenhats.com. Anytime you just want to have a discussion or, ask about technology, I mean, it's, we're an open door. We just want to be a participant in the community, help the community grow, and help businesses achieve what they want.
Great. Brian, thank you for your time today.
Hey, thank you, Chris.
All right.
Thanks for checking out this episode of We Built This Brand. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on your player of choice. You can also keep up with the podcast on our website at webuiltthisbrand.com. If you like this episode, please give the podcast a 5-star review and make sure to tell all your friends about it so we can continue to build this brand.